Hello, this shiur is Le'ilu Nishmas Racholei Bas Rav Chaim Tzvi, which be Le'ilu Nishmata. We're going to go back to Yechezkel. So we're in the middle of Perek Gimel. I'm going to review the beginning of Perek Gimel and talk about what it has to do with what we've been doing beforehand. Okay, so what we've actually been talking about in Perek Aleph was Masa Merkava, the story of how the divine chariot comes down to this world, meaning what forces bring Hashem down to us. We spoke about the Srafim who are above our understanding, the Chayot, the life force that comes down to the Ofanim, the wheels that touch this earth. Now, what was the context? Why was Hashem revealing so much to Yechezkel? So at the beginning of Perek Bet, what we said is that He wanted us to understand where the horrors of destruction and punishment were coming from. That they were coming from a place of unity and love, and that this is what we needed because of where we had taken our lives. So in Perek Bet, we were warned by Hashem that all of the forthcoming events took place only because of our rebellion against Hashem, who wants to give us only goodness. But this is what He needs to do to draw us back. At the beginning of Perek Gimel, He tells Yechezkel that he must make a Megillah, and he should integrate this Megillah. He should, so to speak, not actually, but so to speak, eat it. Make it part of himself. And once he does that, he should feel that this Megillah, with all of the terrible promises that are written therein, it should feel in his mouth as though it's sweet as honey, meaning he should accept that Hashem's judgments are for the good, are coming from a higher place, and are the tikkun that the Jewish people need at this time. So we're going to begin in Perek Daled, Perek Gimel. I think we got a little bit further than that, to tell you the truth. But to bring the ideas back together, this is where we'll begin. Vayomer Elai, Ben Adam, Lech bo el Bet Yisrael, V'dibarta b'dovarai alehem. So after having taken in this Megillah, meaning making it part of himself, he tells him that he has to go to Bet Yisrael. Now this doesn't mean the 10 tribes, as it sometimes does, but it means the entire house of Israel, as they are where he is in exile. Hilo al im kesafau k'v'dei lashonata shaluach el Bet Yisrael. So he says, don't think that the reason that you're not being heard is because there's a linguistic difficulty. Okay, they understand. Okay, so even though they're in exile and they're being he's being instructed to speak to them in Hebrew, the problem isn't that they don't understand. The problem is that they don't want to hear it. Okay. I'm not sending you to many nations, some of whom have very eloquent language or heavy speech, that you haven't heard their words, meaning their language is unfamiliar to you. But if I would have sent you to them, they would listen. Okay. So what's Hashem telling them? Okay. The nations of the world would be more willing to hear your prophecy than the Jews are. Why is that the case? So the Gemara tells us that when the Jews fall, they fall lower than anyone. And the reason for this is the intensity of our personalities, the brilliance of our minds. So when Jews are at a place where they brought themselves in an oppositional posture vis-a-vis their relationship to Hashem, they won't hear the nations who feel less inner opposition because there's less self. There's less of a developed and defined self. They'll listen more readily. And Hashem is telling Yechezkel, the house of Israel will not want to listen to you. Because they don't want to listen to me. Because all of the house of Israel are arrogant, the phrase being of strong forehead, and of heavy hearts, meaning they're emotionally blocked. So notice they're accused of two things: arrogance and chutzpah, both of which are implied by chizkei metzach, and being emotionally blocked. So one is a cause and the other is an effect. When a person is unwilling to hear, it's because they, as we said already, they're full of self. So the chutzpah here is that our whole identity, ultimately, the brilliance and the adaptability and the emotional capacity that Mark Jews is different, comes from our being Hashem's image. It says, you're called Adam. So instead of